welcome to Pointed Logic Tarot. This is going to be a mini deck collection video featuring my Star Trek decks. Two of them are by Telekiad. One of them is by Deosil Designs. And one of them is by Theory 11. Mostly I just want to do this to talk about my love of Star Trek and how I am lucky enough to have found where it collides with tarot. Another one of my things I love. They've all been gifts. This one was from a dear friend. This one was from a sibling. This one was from another family member. And this one was from my mom over the course of like 3-ish years or 2.5 years. So I haven't had to like do the heavy lifting of the collecting myself for this. People just go, oh, she loves tarot, she loves Star Trek. Here is something that intersects. So that's been super special. I'm going to start by talking about these two because these are definitely the heavy hitters, not to detract from these decks, but these ones are really an incredible set and intro to a series of decks that the creator is doing. This tarot cloth is by them. And I also have the guidebook. You can buy a deck and book set, which I did get, but had super serious water damage to the box. So the cards were safe because they have an additional box inside here. So this box was okay, and the cards were okay, and the book was okay. I think it only had slight impact to the corners. I reached out to the creator of the decks, and he kindly sent me one of the little boxes to replace the big box. So you either can buy the deck alone and it comes in this little box. If you buy the deck and the book set, it actually comes in a bigger box, which sadly was lost to flooding. Okay, we'll set this box aside. I'm going to talk about the book really quick. The book only covers this deck, but it is super informative, and no matter which Trek deck or even which tarot deck you have, there's a ton of great stuff in it. It's color-coded on the sides, and the first chunk is tarot history. And I love tarot history so much. Look at this. It goes by the origins of tarot. It goes by years or centuries. Types of tarot, and then just its evolution into what we have now. And you have examples. I'm planning to do a video on tarot history soon. I'm awaiting a Kickstarter deck before I film that video. And the video will indeed be informed by this guidebook because it's so good. And the other thing that's great about this is it's not some fake-o sugar-coated tarot history that you might find in older books or new agey books, or perpetuating the inaccurate tarot history of like they're from ancient Egypt and blah 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 from the esotericists. It's legitimate tarot history and the evolution of cards in general, from Chinese playing cards to Mamluk cards, which created the suits that have evolved into what we know in tarot, to then its evolution into modern playing cards. It's great. And that's not even like Star Trek related. Then there's a section on the deck itself. Oh, also there's a ton of amazing spreads in here. It's all original art. They have a ton of associations on the cards. You'll see that. Some folks might not like that because there's a corner with a bunch of symbols. There's 2 bonus cards. And then it just goes right into the cards. We've got majors. We've got wands, which are the suit of rods. Cups. Blades, which are the suit of swords. And then coins instead of pentacles. There's an appendix with all the episodes. And a key for the symbols on the cards. It's such a great book. If you're going to get this deck, you got to get the book. Like, the book is half of the fun. Okay. And you don't have to keep the tuck boxes. But because I had one so kindly sent to me after I was like, mine was ruined. I'm keeping them in a box. Okay. So, card. You have your symbol here, and you'll see as we go through, it's both a playing card symbol and a Star Trek symbol together. They put them together because the combinations are brilliant. You've got the name. You get keywords. You've got an upright and a reversed keyword. You've got all of the symbols that I mentioned before that are referenced in the book. You've got the insignia shape around the art with a little shadow that it's easy to see in the, but you can see the insignia. The Delta Shield. And the coloring is color-coded by suit. So coins are yellow, swords are green, cups are blue, and wands are red. And then there's a black border for the majors. You have the title of the episode. You have a copyright. And then here you have episode number. You have the star date mentioned in the episode, if one is mentioned. And then you have the original air date that it was broadcast. How cool, right? So, for a nerd like me, I don't mind all of this writing on the card. Like, it could be in the book only, I guess. But it's really fun. And the keywords are really unique. They're not something I have come across a lot of the times. So, like, for example, 9 of Swords. You see anxiety, insomnia, fear. But do you ever see anguish? And defiance is the reversed card, or the reversed keyword. So, you have the spades faded out in the back, because spades are equivalent to swords. But then you also have a Klingon bird of prey. Cool, right? Episode number 47, Obsession. Here you have the suit of diamonds, but then on top of it you have a Tholian ship, because they're similar in shape to that. For the hearts, you have a Romulan warbird. Ooh, is this one an Orion ship? On top of the clubs? Or am I wrong in that? Page of Rods, Zeal, or Petulance. Petulance fits this character, Charlie. Okay, so another thing that you need to know about this, that I've mentioned in other videos, so apologies for the repetition here, but it's something that's why I feel like these are really strong in their Star Trek-ness of tarot. Every single episode of the original series has its own card in here. The way that they have accomplished this is not even just like by finagling or stretching them to fit. It's literally because there are 78 Star Trek stories in the original series. Here's one of the bonus cards. The original series has 79 episodes, but one of them, the Menagerie, is a two-parter. So the Menagerie gets one card in here. Can I find it? There's the other bonus card. We're going to talk about both bonus cards in a second. Here it is. The moon. So it's episode 16, but it's also episode 17, or episode 15 and 16. I'm not sure how the numbering worked, but the Menagerie is one story that was split into a two-parter. So they aired 79 episodes. Actually, if you look here on the air date, it has 2 air dates. And I think the air dates are a week apart because it was released weekly. So maybe it's just listing 78 episodes. But either way, the Star Trek series fits right on top of Tarot. There's also a pilot that was never aired, and that's what these 2 bonus cards are. And the Menagerie is an episode that shows a series of flashbacks, and the footage they use in the flashbacks is from The Cage, which is the bonus pilot, or the bonus cards, but it's the pilot. They made a pilot, and initially the producers did not like it. They were like, it's too cerebral. No one's going to like it. But because there was some really good material there, they actually allowed Gene Roddenberry to create a second pilot, which is Where No Man Has Gone Before. Is that what it's called? Where No Man Has Gone Before. So you will see here that it's episode 2. Maybe that's how they did it. See, this is episode 1, but it's a pilot that was never released. So pilot number 2, episode 1, Where No Man Has Gone Before, was successfully accepted as a series. And they said, okay, yeah, go forward with it. And Star Trek was created. But they didn't want to waste the footage that they had from the first pilot. So once they were rolling a little bit, episode 16, they went and they cut a bunch of it and put it in the Menagerie. And expanded Star Trek's like canon and lore that way in a really kind of cool way. So I love that while this deck fits all the episodes right onto the tarot, they also, gave you 2 bonus cards as an homage to sort of that story of how this even worked out. The other thing about it is the episodes aren't in any type of order, like as far as episodes, 3, 4, and 5 are the 3, 4, and 5 of Wands or something. They are arranged throughout the deck in just a way that the scenes match the tarot meanings. So that's what I mean by saying that like the episodes don't feel shoehorned in, because what it really demonstrates to me is that with good storytelling, all of the archetypes that you see and the stories and the emotions and both the sort of magic and mundane, the big and the small energies and experiences captured in tarot are reflected in, good storytelling in a series like this. So you can see like for example, in the World card, and I could go on a rabbit hole down every single one of these. The World card is a scene where Captain Kirk has destroyed this computer, which looks like a giant dragon, called Val. That was a planetary shield and protection of this. Well, I don't even know if it was this species, like these people. It was just like put there to protect the planet, but it was attacking the Enterprise, and so Kirk destroyed it. So Kirk violates the Prime Directive yet again in this episode. And in the scene, he's telling the people about how there's like, this whole big wide world outside of their world, but it's also the end of the episode. So you're wrapping up the episode with the conclusion, but then you're also expanding these people's like world. For better or worse, you're exposing them to the whole universe because you've eliminated their planetary shield. And also there was like a whole religion they had around this this machine. And in the 60s Star Trek, there's a lot of like machines are, you know, make you evil or whatever. And then like the reverse meaning, or the reverse keyword, is despair. So you could be like, okay, that's just the opposite of what the world card means. But not really. It's also just tied in here because a lot of these people are really upset that Kirk killed their god by destroying the machine. So there's a lot of layers. And that's, again, another reason why you got to get the book. Because if we go to the entry of the world, it talks about the episode. In the Apple, the Enterprise is ordered to investigate the planet Gamma Trianguli 6. A landing party finds the surface's lush appearance to be hiding many dangers. I think this might be the record for killing red shirts, or maybe it's the second most deadly episode to red shirts, because the episode Obsession kills a bunch of them too. Red shirts are the unlucky security and engineering support that get killed to show you how dangerous the mission is. It hides many dangers, including plants that shoot poisonous darts, unstable rocks that explode, and instant storms that shoot deadly lightning bolts. The remaining landing party meet local villagers ruled by Val, a large temple in the shape of a giant serpent with an open mouth into which the villagers periodically feed unstable rocks. Spock finds that Val is in fact a large underground machine powered by the rocks and managing the villagers with no apparent social change for 10,000 years. When Val uses a beam to begin drawing energy from the Enterprise, Kirk orders the ship to fire on Val, shutting down its operation and freeing the villagers to pursue their own paths. There's also a chunk about the tarot meaning at top, and then just a little message. So you could read just the message to get the gist of your reading. You could dig into the meaning of the world card to learn more, or to get other ideas for how to interpret it. And then you can also dig into the episode to learn more or remind yourself of the episode. And then the keywords are bolded here. The title of the card is bolded, then the title of the episode, and then key characters. So yeah, a great guidebook. All right. Next up, we're going to talk about the animated deck. There are 22 episodes from this series. This came out in the 70s. And there's 22 major arcana cards. So this is a majors only deck with, again, one episode per card. They've got the little chaotic, sharp insignia that was drawn on these version of the characters. The box is a little funny because it's a full-size box with an insert. But then, you know, it looks nice on your shelf, but it does take up more space than it necessarily needs to. Yeah, these aren't in order. But again, it has the same Fool to the World. It has the title. It uses the same set of symbols. It has the episode number, the star date, and the air date. And then, of course, because these are unsuited, it shows the Enterprise in the corner there. This is kind of a goofy series, but there's actually some really great stuff out of it. This one has several of the returning actors from the 60s voice acting their characters, but not all of them. And again, I am impressed with how the creator of this deck matched each episode to a really good card in tarot. An example here is the Pirates of Orion. This pirate, I think, is holding a bomb or something that's going to explode. Or maybe it's... No, this one is... They've got some hostages and they're trading. They're like doing some kind of prisoner type exchange where they're trading for this. I'd have to go back and watch it. Because again, this isn't in the guidebook. But this pirate is wearing a force field to protect them from the elements of space, and they're on like an asteroid to make this exchange. So there's a delicate balance here. We got the Magician. Yeah. They just match great. And they have the same backs, the same cardstock, the same design, the same symbols, because the idea is that you could take any card from any deck in this series that the creators are working on and make one my favorite Star Trek deck, where you can, you choose your favorite hermit, you choose your favorite sun card, you choose your favorite world, you choose, not out of this deck, but like your favorite Ace of Wands, and then you make the ultimate Trek deck for you. That's kind of the idea behind the series. Something that is interesting that I'm not certain how they're going to pull it off, but with the Next Generation, and Deep Space Nine and Voyager, they all had way more than 78 episodes. They are like what often folks call the heyday of Star Trek from the 80s and 90s. I think also early 2000s. I'd have to go back and look, but I was a little kid when Voyager was out. And the goal is to have every card get an episode. So, like with Next Gen, I think they're planning to make 3 whole decks or something to that effect to divide up the seasons, like each episode. I'm not remembering the exact number, but it's over 700 episodes of that initial run of Star Trek. And now we have a new Trek coming out in the form of animated series, in the form of a kids show, which sadly was ended, and in the form of live action, in the form of movies. So I don't even know how far this series is planning to go. But it's great fun. Okay. So yeah, go check out Telekiad. It'll be linked down below. I'll link the page where you can see the sneak preview of the Next Generation deck they're working on. And you can bet that, to the detriment of my bookshelf, I will be following along and acquiring each of the series decks. Let's talk about the Trek deck. This is a fandom deck, and it, I think, is an unlicensed deck on Etsy. Now, some people have issue with unlicensed decks. For me, a little bit, it depends. But Paramount has plenty of money, so I am not at all opposed to a fandom deck. It came with a little bag. I got this one as a birthday gift last year. And some of the best things about Star Trek have been fan-made. Conventions are a fan-made creation, for example. The tons of really amazing costumes, Star Trek cookbooks, fan fiction, magazines, books, tarot decks, even fan-made series and episodes. They've all contributed to the amazing, rich mythology of Star Trek. I know that CBS/Viacom/Paramount or whatever the behemoth has become cracked down on that a few years ago after a fan-made thing became more than just they made money off of it. But I think it was like a Kickstarter or something where they did it in order to fund the production of it. And there was like merchandise that you would get by funding the Kickstarter. I don't remember, but I know that they cracked down on it, and it really started to limit what was being made by fans. And for licenses like Harry Potter, screw J.K. Rowling. Make as much fan-made stuff of that as you want to. You know, like Disney people union busting and bopping around, wrecking the planet. So, yeah, you came and didn't expect a rant, I bet. Sorry. Back to the Trek deck, which is on Etsy, and I think you should check out. It's on linen cardstock. I think it's just based on the box from Drive-Thru RPG. I think because of the way this box is, it's a Drive-Thru RPG printing. But I don't know for sure. But it's linen. You can buy, I think, just a digital version of the guidebook. That's what I have anyway. This one is a combination of Deep Space Nine, Next Generation, and Voyager. The one thing that initially confused me is the suits. So the author of this deck, also this might be my favorite card. Not sure, but Tuvok's awesome. The person switches around swords with fire and wands with air. But because they're renamed, it doesn't matter. So, for example, Replicators is cups, and it's blue. There's a few renamed ones, which is why another reason I think you should get the digital guidebook. Latinum is pentacles or coins, etc. And then phasers in the guidebook is swords, but it's fire. And the interpretations of the cards align with the wand suit. So for me, phasers is wands. Does that make sense? See what I'm saying? Fire, phasers. In the book, our author, Alex, I think is their name. The author talks about how for them, fire is swords. So phasers is swords. But because it's renamed, it kind of doesn't matter. And then tricorders in the book is wands, but for me is swords because it's air. And for me also it's lucky because red is fire, so red is wands to me. And gray is air, so gray is swords to me. So yeah, those are the two suits that are switched. So initially when I was trying to understand it, I was a little bit confused. But because of the description on the Etsy page. But once I got into the guidebook and understood the artist's explanation, it actually was really easy because the yellow cards are pentacles, the gray cards are swords, the blue cards are cups, and the red cards are wands. So for me, that works out great. Four lights. There's a lot of really good moments in here. Like I said, there's some renaming. There's a lot of really fantastic characters. Look at this one. Oh, we left your Pope on the moon, everybody. So like adaptation instead of death. And here we have 7 of 9 faced with her former self. And the lovers we have, I don't know if this is Dax or if this is another symbiont being transferred. It could be Curzon and Jadzia, but it could be just a different transfer depicted. It looks like Jadzia though. So yeah, if you're a fan of this set of series, and so it might be challenging if you only like one of the series, like you're a big Next Gen fan but not much of a Voyager fan. I mean, if you want a dedicated Deep Space Nine deck, then I would say, get Telekey when it comes out. But that'll be a hot second if they're doing 3 decks just for Next Gen. So, anyway, this is really fun, especially because with these 3 series, there's a lot of continuity with the characters, with the mythos, with the storylines overlapping and weaving in and out of each other. So, it's good. I like it. It shuffles really great. The other one shuffles perfectly nice, too. It's that nice... The other one is that nice, snappy, standard smooth cardstock, but it's not waxy like Make playing cards. It's just like... It's like a classic U.S. Games cardstock. This one is, like I said before, I think Drive-Thru RPG linen. You get that swish. Okay. So that's the Trek deck. I'll be sure to link the artist, and I really encourage you to check them out. And again, with licensed and unlicensed fandom decks, just use common sense and discretion. If it's, for me, personally, if it's I guess a franchise, right? Like if it's a franchise with a buttload of money, I'm going to get the fandom stuff. Okay, last but not least, this is a new find and a thing I never even knew about, but my mom saw it and got it for me as a solstice gift this year. And I got it in January, which is why it wasn't part of my 2024 recap, because we had a delayed get-together. Now, you might notice we've got 2 Enterprises here, and yes, it is a reversible back, but also that's a hint of what this deck contains. And I'm really excited about this deck. Check out the tribbles and just the little accents. These are the voyages. And it's got your classic red, blue, and yellow. Here's the backs. They made like a light and a dark edition, I discovered after I looked the deck up. Now, I wanted to show you. So instead of like your typical Theory 11 title card, so here's the standard back, right? Here's the title card. They made 2 of them, and it makes a communicator. So you can flip open your Star Trek communicator when you pull this deck out, which is cute. An original series communicator. The jokers are a red shirt and a blue shirt beaming. And now let's get into the deck. So there are ship designs in the suits. This is what the sword suit looks like. The diamonds look kind of like dilithium. Again, these are like either the deflector dish or the saucer section. I think this is showing... All right, let's look at the back again. I think this is showing the saucer section and this is showing the deflector dish, but I'm not certain. All right, so our first court card. As you can see, we've got original series Amanda Grayson, Spock's mom, and we've got what people call the Kelvin timeline, the J.J. Abrams set of movies, the Star Trek Future Begins 3 movie series from 2009. This set of movies does not get a lot of love, in my opinion, in Star Trek fandom, because it does have a lot of obnoxious elements about it. The characters are younger and angstier, although everyone's a hottie, so I don't mind that. They, made an alternate reality in the first movie to sort of spin off and do their own thing without the restrictions of canon. Now, my argument is you shouldn't have restrictions of canon anyway. Although canon can make it fun. I will link down below a video by Jessie Gender in which she talks about Star Trek canon. I was 15 when this first movie came out, and my exposure to Star Trek had been the original series, which I already knew and liked, and Voyager, which I had seen when I was like 6 or something, like little. I called it the Spaceship Show, and my mom actually told my dad to stop showing it to me because I was scared of some of the aliens. So I didn't get to reconnect with Voyager until I was an adult. But in the interim, I was an angsty teen, so of course I loved the angsty teen version of Star Trek. It was amazing. I was enthralled. I was revitalized, and my interest in Star Trek exploded. I went to my first convention. And in fact, it was the very last convention that Leonard Nimoy was present for. I got his autograph. It was a huge privilege. Like, my love for Star Trek includes and indeed was fueled by the movies that many people malign. So we've got original series Sulu, and we've got Kelvin Universe Sulu. We've got original series Khan, and we've got Kelvin Universe Khan, the whitewashed version of him. Although in the original series, they hired a Mexican guy to play an Indian character, so this looks like the saucer section again. I do really like the designs on the pips. The aces all have a form of the ship. So this is original series 1960s Enterprise. New movie checkoff. And you can't say new movie anymore because another movie's actually coming out this month, and these movies will no longer be the newest of Star Trek movies. So Kelvin Universe checkoff, original checkoff. And look, even their insignias are adjusted, their communicators and stuff. So this checkoff has the new communicator. This checkoff has the original tricorder. Yo, I had the new movie action figures, phaser, tricorder, all of that stuff. I love that stuff. I ended up selling a lot of it after I grew up and moved out. And I had this insane collection of Star Trek memorabilia. And I do, indeed, I'm looking at him right now, have a life-size version, cardboard cutout of the Zachary Quinto Mr. Spock from these movies. So that's how much of a fan of those movies I was and still am. I rewatched part of Into Darkness recently, and I was like, dang, this is so angsty, and it was cracking me up. So, there's a lot of problems with it, but not more so than so much of the rest of Star Trek. So we've got original Leonard Nimoy Mr. Spock, and we've got Kelvin Universe Zachary Quinto Mr. Spock. I mean, there's a ton of great Spocks at this point. Ethan Peck is the current Spock in Strange New Worlds, a series I also adore. This was the only one that is reversible that you can't tell. And it's because it shows Una, i.e. number 1, from the pilot from Captain Pike's ship. Now, there is a new actress playing a new version of Una in Strange New Worlds, but I don't know when this deck came out. 2023, huh? So it came out when that series was on, but they chose not to include her, and I guess it's just because they were only showing original series and Kelvin Universe stuff. I don't know. Carl Urban McCoy, DeForest Kelly McCoy. Here's the Ace of Spades, and it shows the Theory 11 logo, and then the Enterprise. Scotty. Carol Marcus. Carol Marcus is only in the second movie. Carol Marcus is only in the second movie. I think. The original series, Wrath of Khan, she's in, and that's the first time you hear about her. And then Into Darkness, she's only in that one. Original series, Enterprise, Captain Kirk, Zoe Saldana Uhura, Nichelle Nichols Uhura. I love them both so much. Captain Pike. See, I think they included Una because they have Captain Pike and they have original Captain Pike. And also because Star Trek's horrible about including women in the first series and these movies. So they had to really stretch to find characters to fill the queens. And they're almost all white characters because, yeah, you have to go to, what is it? Star Trek Discovery for more inclusivity. And then this ace shows the Kelvin Universe Enterprise, which you can tell by just the shape and the blue deflector dish. So that's a little bit the nod to this. So yeah, I am really excited about this deck. I have been learning to read playing cards a lot lately. And I think what I'll do is when I read this one, I will allow the characters to inform my read of the court cards. I do think that the courts are not what I would have chosen if I'm going based on playing cards / tarot meanings of courts. For example, I think they have Chekhov as a king when I think he should be a page. But they have like Spock as King of Swords. I think that makes sense. And maybe that Kirk is King of Hearts. But anyway, I digress. It will be fun and interesting to read with this deck. And it will be fun to pair it with my tarot decks. This is linen cardstock. It shuffles, spreads, and riffles really well. And that, my friends, is my set of 4 Star Trek decks, my mini collection of Star Trek divination tools. It's certainly not everything in my hilarious Star Trek collection in general. But yeah, I love these. Check out Telekiad, check out Deosil Designs. If you want, I'm pretty sure Theory 11 is still selling these because my mom picked it up at a store. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed, and I would say live long and prosper, and take care.